Interestingly enough, the battalion had never done a night attack. We'd done dawn attacks, we'd done dusk attacks, but we'd never done a night attack which involved starting it in the dark and finishing in the dark. So G Company went first, then left flank, and then right flank behind them. And we were spread out with company headquarters in the middle and two platoons on one platoon on either side of me, and then one platoon to the rear of me. The other two companies advanced, and for some reason the enemy had withdrawn their troops from the first part of the mountain, and G Company obtained their position in a silent attack onto Tumbledown Mountain without any fighting. Left flank was then called forward, and they moved up and through G Company and moved down onto the saddle between the two objectives, where they were fired on by enemy about 150, 200 metres to their front. They went down and went firm and started to organise artillery fire onto the enemy positions. While that was going on, James Stewart, who commanded 13 Platoon, was ordered to take his platoon and advance up the left-hand gully of Tumbledown Mountain. During that, he was a platoon commander of some 6 weeks from Sandhurst. He had not done a platoon commander's course or anything like that. So he relied heavily on Sergeant Simeon, who was his platoon sergeant, to give him advice and encouragement. Halfway up the mountain, he was in discussion with Sergeant Simeon as to what to do, how to take on his small gully, when Sergeant Simeon was shot in the head and killed whilst he was talking to James Stewart, and everybody then had to move up. But it must have been a significant moment for him. Their battle took 2.5 hours to get to the top of Tumbledown Mountain. In the meantime, John Kisley was bringing fire onto the centre of the mountain, but the guns were having problems and they had to fire one gun at a time to bring the guns onto target, because one of the guns was rogue and they didn't know which gun was rogue. That took about 6 hours. So the company was stationary for 6 hours, and then all the guns were ready to fire. They fired 3 rounds fire for effect, and John Kisley called, "Right, left flank, are you with me? Aye, sir." And up the boys got and fought through the 150 or so yards to the enemy trenches. In the dark, the temperature was -6 degrees. There was a force 6 to 8 gale blowing, and the ambient temperature was something in the region of -22. Left flank then had a fight through their objective, of which they received about, I think it was 47 casualties, and most of them were shot at ranges of under 10 feet. So it was all close quarter battle fighting. And John Kisley himself was involved in a bayonet fight. And that's one of the reasons why he got a military cross. He then arrived at the end of his objective and came round a particularly large rock, and with 10 men with him, and he was fired on by 3 or 4 machine guns. This, in fact, were the enemy from my area of the mountain. And he realised out of those 10 people, further 3 were wounded, and he realised that he couldn't go any further. So I was then called forward, and we arranged to, we went firm behind the particularly big rock, and John Kisney told me, right, Simon, there are certainly 3 or so machine gun posts of machine guns covering this area. The enemy is about 150 metres to the front. I'm afraid I can't really tell you very much more about them than that.